Hello, my name is Shamele Jordon, and I'm the host of Genealogy Quick Start. Genealogy Quick Start is available on YouTube, Facebook, and PhillyCam. So, how's everyone doing today? Thank you for coming. Thank you, YouTube subscriber. We just love you, make us look so good. Thank you so much for subscribing. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not already, and like us on Facebook. How's everyone doing today? Let us know where you are. Let us know where you are. Um, Even whether this is you're watching live or in replay, we love to know where you are. Thank you so much for coming in. Um, Something semi-new to Genealogy Quick Start are show notes. Have you guys had a chance to look at the show notes? Well, I'm going to give you the link now, or soon. I'll give you the link now. First, I want to make sure you guys subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to us. But as you guys know, we have fantastic, wonderful guests today. Their subscription, I put that in the chat for you. Looks like we have Barbara here from South Florida. Hi, Barbara. We have Michelle from Tulsa. Hello, Michelle. I love Oklahoma. It reminds me actually of South Jersey a little bit. Welcome, Judy. Hello, Diane, my road buddy. Gail, how are you from New Orleans? Nice to see you. Judy from Phoenix, Arizona. One day I'm going to get to Phoenix. I love Arizona and I haven't even been there. Hello, Dallas Public Library. Hi, Ari. Karen from Southern Oregon. Gotta dig the wine there. Gotta dig the wine. Um, Angela Allen from Houston, Texas. Don't let me forget Susan in Atlanta and Kathy from Ohio. So many great people here. So today we have a packed show, and I want to make sure that I get to everything. So during this show, this is an interactive show. So I want you to put comments in, put questions in. We'll try to get to them as quickly as we can. But today, we have the honor of having quite a few guests. One of those guests is our very special guest is Blaine Beidler. I don't know if it's Beidler or Ger. I have to ask him. And plus I have two Germans here, so I'm going to ask them. One's like 100% German, so I'm sure he'll know how supposed to pronounce that. So we have two quick starts. One is exploring DNA results, and you know that's with Blaine. That'll be in the second half hour. And then we have, first up, we have Enslaved in Northern Records. So yes, there were people enslaved in the North for much longer than most people realize. So we will talk about that. But before we get to that, I have two guests here who are doing an amazing project called the Beyond Kin Project. So I'd like you to welcome Frazine Taylor, who's one of my mentors, and Martine. Hello, ladies. How are you?
Hi.
So you guys, Martine, I think you're our first international special guest. Where are you joining us from, Martine?
I live in Ireland, Shamele.
Thank you so much for joining. So tell us about the Beyond Kin project.
Okay, you want me to start first?
Yes.
Okay, yes, okay. First of all, when we thought about Beyond Kin, we were referring to people who had an important connection to each other without being biological or legally kin. And so, a way in which we decide to do this is Donna Baker and myself. We decide to we want to encourage and facilitate the documentation of the enslaved population, particularly by recruiting the resources and efforts of the descendants of slave holders. And when I say that, one of the outlying things, so I've been doing genealogy research for years, and helping African American people to trace their family. But one of the things that I found out when we get to the brick wall, they never was a brick wall, 1817 brick wall, is no place to go. And sometimes those records were not where they needed to be. They were still with the descendants, the slave owner descendants. And I have had talked to several generations and people, and one of the things they would say is that, yeah, we have them in our. We didn't know what they were, and we finally looked in the old trunk, and there was some slave slave. Yeah, yes, okay, sale. What do we call them, Jamel?
Bill
Shamel?
of sale.
Bill of sale. Thank you. I had a moment there. Bill of sales, and someone would say, "Well, we want to keep them," and some would say, "Well, we're ashamed," and some would say, "Well, I want to keep them and see if they're going to have any money, get it be profitable." So,
Right.
but in any case, what I try to tell people is that we don't want the record. We just want a copy of it in a place
We
you can
want
put
the information.
it. We want the information.
So this sounds fabulous. It sounds like basically what it is it's people who are descendant from slaveholders putting up information so that people who are descendants of enslaved can have access to those documents. So it sounds like it's a combination of documents that might be within the family that are not available publicly.
Right.
But does it also include, Martine, does it also include documents that might be available that you're just bringing to light?
Oh, and I'm gonna let her get to that in a few minutes. Is what I want to say.
Not in a few minutes, Frazee.
In a second. And what I want to say is now that we got that concept, then we had to put something together, and this is where Martine come in.
Okay, thank you.
So lovely.
So Martine,
I was getting there.
That's okay. I was in no hurry.
I am. So Martine. So let us know, like, how can we access it? And is it only documents that people have that are not public? Are they, encouraged to also put those public documents up to bring them to light?
Okay, so the quickest way for someone to check what we have is to go to the Beyond Kin directory, which is on beyondkin.org or on our website. And you go straight to the directory and you look for the state or the county or the slaveholder that you're looking for. And if somebody has uploaded information, you will find it there. Now, in some cases, people leave an email address and they say, we know about this family or this family, contact us. Other times, people have placed things on websites or they have written a blog and the link will be there. So what we encourage people to do is to contact the researcher, because sometimes a person has more information than they can possibly upload within the directory, because basically there's a small space. So the other thing we say to people is keep coming back, because we are now up to 2,200 researchers worldwide. We have people in France, in Sweden. I can't tell you all the places we have people. So
That's great.
So it's wonderful. It's really wonderful, and it's grown quite a lot over the pandemic and the Black Lives Matter movement, so, which is great to see. Now, the other thing that Francine and Donna did was they developed a way of using family trees on Ancestry, and I won't go into details because it would take too long, but it is a way to record people for whom you have no names. Okay.
And
So,
it's in the video.
the video. Okay. So people find it difficult at first. So somebody, I think her name was Shamele, made a suggestion that we make some videos. So last year I made a few videos, which are very short and I hope clear, because Donna and I worked very hard on them. And they give you instructions on how to create a tree for people that you don't have names, and then what to do when you find names for the people. Right. So the resources are both unknown, in other words, they're not public, what we use, or there are things that we have found in archives which are, behind a paywall maybe, or are just very difficult to access.
Ladies, I swear this is just like an amazing project. I mean, Donna, I'm sorry she has life things going on. I want to thank Donna Baker, right? Donna Baker Cox
Yeah.
or Donna Cox
Mhm.
Baker, Frazine Taylor, Martine. Really appreciate this is a very unique project, and I have something unique that I would like to share with you guys about your project soon. So I'll be in touch about that.
Oh, great. Good.
Yeah.
We love to hear the good news.
So thank you so much. And please, if there's anything, new happening, please come back and we'd love to hear about it.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. Yes.
You take care.
You too.
Frazine, I love you. Hi, everyone. Guess what time it that was? I think that's just amazing. People thinking outside of the box, coming up with ways for people to collaborate so that people can connect, because that's what we want is we want to connect. And as an African American, when I meet someone who is, descendant of a slaveholder, there's no animosity here. Don't feel any kind of way about it. It's not you, it is your ancestors. And this is about documents. It's about people just trying to connect with their past. So, speaking of enslaved people, we have a unique show today with my buddies. They came up with this, not me. They drug me into this. Hey, Kitty. And today we're going to talk about Enslaved in Northern Records. So let's go ahead. Hello, Michael. Hello, Jim.
Hello.
We have Jim Beidler, who is a columnist and editor and author of many books, including a map book. I know I'm saying the wrong name on Germany. I'm so proud of you, Jim. And then Michael, who is genealogy tip of the day. Been blogging since blogging began. Like you were like one of the original genealogy bloggers, right?
I've been doing it for a while. Yeah.
And he has a book also, genealogy tip of the day. So you guys ready to and the kitty? What does did the kitty write a book too?
Not yet.
So
no,
let's
I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to go on.
So let's go ahead and do our topic, Enslaved in Northern Records. So step one, as usual, is to determine a place and a time, right? The crosshairs of genealogy, kind of slow on the pickup there, Michael. And step two, determine a place and a time is like something I have to share with you. So in the North, everyone thinks, everyone was free all the time. Well, not true. Guess what I'm sharing? Absolutely nothing. All right, let's try that again. Here we go. So determine a place and a time. So, this is a lot going on here, but I just want people to see, I put the columns in and highlighted the columns that counts how many enslaved people there were in 1790, 1810, 1860. Okay. And you can see the numbers, these are the numbers. In 1810, New Jersey had, 10,000 enslaved people. New York had 15. But by 1860, there are none. But I'm going to show you there's a missing column, should be 1850, and I'll talk to you about that in a second. Did you guys have any other feedback on determining a place and a time?
The other thing you need to see when slavery was abolished in those certain locations, just to keep
that's
a better time
step
frame.
two. I think that's
sorry, I'm just ahead of my time.
Oh no, that's Blaine's step two. Hold on. That's step two is determine the relevant laws, right?
Absolutely.
So, right.
Yep. Because this enslavement was following state laws, and each state came up with its own. In the North, each state came up with its own scheme for how abolition happened. Pennsylvania was the first in 1780, the first of the original 13 colonies becoming states, to pass an abolition act, but it was a gradual abolition act. And it turned out we were one of the last northern states to be completely free of enslavement. 1847, even though we passed it in 1780, the gradual abolition, it wasn't until 1847 that the last slaves were manumitted in Pennsylvania.
And the other thing you want to keep in mind of too are the black codes. In Illinois, there was a black code in 1853, which prohibited any black person from outside of the state from coming into the state for more than 10 days. And at that point, they were subject to arrest, detention, a $50 fine, and deportation. And that was to prevent more from coming into the state. And so you might find, if you're a free person of color, you think maybe was in one of these locations, you might want to see if they were sued for some reason, brought up on charges, criminal charges, were they viewed as violating state statute. And there may be some. The problem with finding that is you'd have to know the county where they were residing when whatever action took place, but that could be a potential record too.
So I want to show a couple books from the bookshelf on that. So let me see if you guys can see. So here's Stroud's Laws. This does not specifically deal with northern laws. It specifically are the enslaved states. So, but Stroud's is a good one because even in the enslaved states, you want to know about that. Another one that I got from Craig is A Legal History of Slavery in the United States. Really good book. And I know I'm not supposed to show this book because I know it's not in the North, but I'm just proud that I have it. And Virginia was very good at documenting their laws. And so they have the Black Laws of Virginia. Another book, if you want to examine the North and slavery, is one called Complicity, How the North Promoted, Prolonged, and Profited from Slavery. Complicity. Cool books to take a look at. So that's step 2. It's all about the laws, understanding the laws, and that goes, for all genealogy, but when it comes to enslavement, it definitely is important.
And I would imagine in those books you mentioned, the two that could relate to the North, if a person had that, if nothing else, if you read the footnotes and the endnotes, it may refer you to other studies, it may refer you to state statute, and all kinds of things like that. That's a good thing to do with a lot of academic studies of any topic. In addition to reading it to get a better understanding, go in there and look at those footnotes and consider getting some of those other sources as reference too.
Yeah, there's some books that I essentially read just for the footnotes, because they refer you to so many other good works. Yeah,
I love the back of the book. Genealogists, that's our thing. Back of the book, not the bus, but the book. All right. Step 3, create a research plan. So, these records can be everywhere. You want to search those catalogs, state archives at the county. If you're not like a county system, you have your town and your borough. You want to check like big things like WorldCat, NUCMUC. Just get an understanding of, what's available. And there is this, so that's step 3 is to create a research plan. Step 4 is to go ahead and search for records. So this is what you guys all want, is to look at those records, and Jim and Michael have some great ones for us. So talk to us about this one, Jim.
Well, this is a collateral ancestor of mine. He was a brother. Daniel Heister was a brother of my Heister immigrant ancestor, and I don't believe that my direct line ancestor in this line enslaved anyone, but his brother definitely
No
did
shame, Jim.
enslave
No
people.
shame, Jim.
Oh no! I'm just because we have another. We're gonna have another document that does show a direct line of mine. So, but no, on this is his will. He died 1795. And it's interesting. A lot of the wills may only mention a number of enslaved people. Or simply enslaved people. Here he names a couple of his enslaved people, a Negro woman named Betty, and also one named Leonard, and another excerpt actually gives him a surname. And my thought is that these were people who served in the House, especially. And were given kind of special treatment as compared to field laborers, because he even makes a short notation about Leonard that once he no longer can work, that they need to take care of him.
And I think here is to your point that they were special because he says all my Negroes, so he's like all the rest of them.
The rest of them just get divided between his sons, and it's an interesting will. The part that's detailed, and then the part that's not. Yeah.
And then we have another will, and I know your ancestor is in Hijab. I'm sorry.
No, I was trying to find one from New England, and this was the one I thought I could find. I couldn't, so I ended up getting this guy.
So this is a cool one.
I thought it was really neat because Bristol. Bristol is his name, and he is to have the choice of this man's which child he wants to live with. So it makes me think he kind of been a long-term. They'd had him for some time.
Yeah, he probably raised them, and
right was my thought. And the other thing with a will, if you see it, you also want to look. The problem is to find the will, you need to know the name of the slaveholder. That's the issue with this, and that kind of goes back into that Beyond Kin project that you mentioned earlier. But I was going to add. In the estate inventories, it may give more information about them. It may say if any are freed.
Yes.
The other thing, when you're looking at those records that we talked about in those online catalogs and whatnot, when you're looking at those records, particularly at the county or the town level in New England, see if there's anything about free blacks and anything like that.
Yes.
That's cataloged out separately.
Yes.
That may give you a little more detail about these individuals. Because like we said, to find the will, you got to know the slaveholder, and oftentimes that's not something you know.
Right.
And so another record is the 18, there's a slave census that's available from 1850 and 1860. Prior to that, like 1840 and before, there would be a column where they would check, how many within a certain age. And so this one is for New Jersey. And this is 1850. So most people, and there are 443 that are in this index. So this is an example of a slave census. And this is at close up. And I'm so used to looking at Southern slave schedules. I'm not used to seeing slave owners listed so closely. I'm used to seeing maybe one or two slave owners on a page. But on here, it does not list the enslaved person's name. It just how many in this age, sex, and color. And then they'll show, if it's relevant, how many slave houses. So make sure that you check these slave schedules, even for northern states. I don't know if any other ones besides New Jersey did. This is a cool one, Jim. This is another census.
Yeah, this is a Pennsylvania state census called septennial, because it was, guess what, taken every 7 years.
Whoa. I thought you had that evil 3-letter word there. Tax. Is it a tax?
I know. We got to get to the bottom of why he calls this a tax list.
it was used for taxation as well as as well as counting people.
Okay,
So
we're not going to have that discussion then. Okay.
but one of the appendages to the 800 septennial census for Pennsylvania is that it lists the enslaved people, and this is for Berks County, Pennsylvania. And on the previous slide, it was several dozen that were still enslaved in 1800. So this is one of these, think outside the box, because here we have names. We have names.
Yes, and that's what is really different is in these northern records. I'm not used to seeing enslaved people with last names. Not everyone has a last name, but there's a lot with last names.
Yep.
All righty. That yup said, I'm out of here. All right. Here's so this is one. So let me show you this book. Manumissions. We know about manumissions. Manumissions are the legal way in which you set enslaved people free. And like Michael said earlier, a lot of times the law said they had to leave the state. This in Monmouth County, they have a book called Manumissions, Books of Monmouth County, New Jersey. 1791 1844. Also in the show notes is the actual link because these are online. So I'm going to show you this one of Rose Wall. Now this is actually not a manumission. This is a certificate of examination. So they had to be examined before they were manumitted because they did not want them to become a ward of the state. And this is just an example of one of Rose Wall. It has her name. It's saying that she's of sound mind. Oh, it has the name of the guy, Joseph Taylor, up here. It's saying she's of sound mind. She has the capacity. And it's saying that she's between the age of 21 and 40. That definitely sounds like there's a law there that you need to examine. And so that one is a certificate. So that is the certificate of examination. The interesting thing is I did not see a manumission for Rose, so I'm not sure what that meant. The last record that I have is for Underground Railroad. So William Still, famous for keeping the Journal C for Station 2. He this is an entry from there where he would every day he would write in this book or night, and he would bury it every night. And this is an example of one of the entries, and it has on here, let's see, did I blow it up? Yes, the date, November 28th 1853, arrived Joseph Hudson alias Neill. So you can see he changed his name. It has his age, what he looked like. It says who held him was a Jacob Neill. The great thing about about this Journal C is it's completely online at the Historical Society of Pennsylvania's website. And if you guys go to the show notes, you will have the link there. And I will pop the link for the show notes into the comments for you guys shortly. So Jim and Michael, did you guys have any other thoughts, comments? I love your idea of doing this. This was a great idea you guys came up with.
I would say as one last is to reach out, the county where your person lived, if you know where they lived, reach out to other researchers in that area to see if they're aware of any sources that could be helpful. We focus on what's online, and that's a great place to start, don't get me wrong, but some of the things that we're talking about that could really help you potentially are not online. So I would reach out to the county Facebook page for the Genealogy, Society or whatever, to see if there's other materials that you may be able to access.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because the counties are in many cases are giving priority to digitizing these type of materials. That's how I found out that one of my direct line ancestors, Nicholas Kinzer, that his executors manumitted an enslaved person that had been held by him because it was in the Recorder of Deeds office. And when they digitized, it's like, well, this is no deed. What is this? And it turned out they had 6 manumissions in Berks County, Pennsylvania.
As one
So,
last quick comment,
go ahead.
look
Sure.
at the State Archives or State Historical Society website to see if they have any databases of free blacks, manumissions, or anything like that. I know in Illinois, the State Archives has a website with some of those names on it. And there was a academic study I found about slaves in New England. Medford Historical Society has some information too. So do some Google searches for those kinds of things as well.
You guys rock. Let's look at our quick start list of, looking for enslaved people in Northern records. You have step 1, you want to first determine a location and a time. Step 2, you want to learn the relevant laws. Just Google your location, your state, and laws. Also county, you want to check that level as well. Step 3 is to create a research plan. Step 4 is then to go and search for records. There's tons of stuff out there, guys. Enjoy your research. So thank you to Michael and Jim for doing that amazing quick start. Now it's time for our special guest, Blaine, and he is going to come on right. I see he's smiling already. Blaine put his smiling face on already. Hello, Blaine. How are you today?
I'm great, Shamele. How are you?
I'm good. I really appreciate you coming to the show. We didn't even test out what our appropriate Blaine background is going to be.
No.
Let's see. Maybe that one. Maybe that. Not too busy. Okay, let's do that. Now we have our Blaine background on. We can actually get this show on the road.
Wonderful.
So Blaine came up with, I said, Blaine, what do you want to talk about? And Blaine came up with an amazing quick start, which is exploring DNA test results. We get them back. We kind of glance at them. And really, you paid your money. You want to get your money's worth out of it. So Blaine came up with step 1 is to go ahead and check your ethnicity results. So Blaine, I'm glad you put that as step 1 because really that's what everyone does anyway. That's the first thing everyone does. So talk to us about, what's going on here.
Right. So every testing company, the big 4 testing companies, 23andMe, Ancestry, Family Tree DNA, and MyHeritage, all provide 2 main things: your ethnicity result and a list of people that share DNA with you in the database. And so when you get your results back, you get that email that says, hey, your results are ready. Go take a look. Well, it's kind of overwhelming because what do you look at? What are you looking for? What are you trying to do? And so I think step 1 is to look at your ethnicity results with an eye towards trying to figure out if there's anything really, really unexpected there. One thing that's important to remember is that ethnicity results are just an estimate. It is an extremely high-level attempt to identify regions of the world that you appear to share DNA with today. And they kind of extrapolate that towards your origins. So those of us that have worked on our family tree for a while have kind of a feeling for what our results should look like, right? So we might say, we think maybe it should be this percentage European. It should be this percentage African. It should be this percentage Asian, whatever it might be. So when you look at your ethnicity results, that's a good place to start. Does the percentages, do they make sense in view of what I know about my tree? So here, for example, on the slide, you're seeing someone's results at Ancestry, and you can see that this person has a bunch of different regions all over the world. And so they might expect to see some of that reflected, of course, in their family tree. One example I give is I was looking at someone's results once, and they said they were 100% Northern European. And we looked at their ethnicity results, and it was about a quarter Southern Europe. All the rest was Northern European. And so when that kind of thing happens, it raises this big red flag that says, wait a minute, something might not make sense here. But on the other hand, don't get too caught up in, well, it should be exactly 20% German and 3% this. That's not how the estimates work. So look at the high level. Does it make sense in view of what you know about your tree? If so, move on. If not, then, maybe you need to dive a little bit deeper.
Okay, and moving on would be step 2 to check out your match list. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, so this is the meat of your results. This is what you really get back. This is what you want to work with. This is a list of matches for a test taker, and all the companies list it the same way. Your closest match is your very first match, and then your most distant matches. It goes on from there. And so you're sharing less and less and less and less DNA with all of these people, which means your relationship is getting further back in time. Whereas, for example, this first match here, that Jason Garcia, that's a very close family member. And so working with these matches can help you figure out, am I descended from the lines think I'm descended from? It can help you break through brick walls. This match list is what we're going to be working with for however long you're going to be working with your DNA results. That may be a day after you get frustrated, or maybe it'll be 20 years, so.
Is there like a certain level that you don't go below? Like, do you not look at, fourth cousins, or do you just kind of look at everyone? Because, we all kind of look at this. What's a great way to kind of digest it?
Well, that's actually step number 3.
Yay, step 3.
Is to work with your closest matches, because they're the people most closely related to you, meaning your ancestor that you share with them is recent in time and recent in your tree. If you go way down to the bottom of your match list, you could be talking about, they could be your 15th cousin. I don't know about you, but I don't have a tree anywhere near where I could start looking for 15 cousins, right? So you want to look at your closest matches. So for example, you can see this person has 350 fourth cousins or closer. That's the range I would be working in initially, trying to figure out who are these people, what is our pedigree relationship, and trying to work out how I'm related to those individuals, because that's going to do things, like I said, confirm my lines that I think I have, and hopefully help me fill in some of the blanks of the holes in my tree based on these people all being related to me and descended from a particular person and so on. So work with your closest matches, because that's where you're going to have the initial success. After that, then you can start working your way down the list a little bit more, because you can, you have a little more confidence in what you're doing. You have more of your tree filled out perhaps. And so it's better to work on that list after you've worked with those close matches.
Michelle Bates says that she got surprise Jewish DNA, which turned into a family secret being exposed. I need to hear more, Michelle. I'll get in touch with you. She probably has videos and stuff. I'll check you out, Michelle. Okay, so you're working with those closest matches, and then we want to move on to step 4, which is to explore shared matches.
Yeah, so shared matching, or also called in common with, is without a question the most powerful tool that the testing companies give us. So here, for an example, I show you on that red arrow. That's your I call it your secret weapon button. So here I'm comparing John Doe and to his match, David Smith. And so, if I get David Smith as a result, a match, I don't know who David Smith is. Maybe he doesn't have a tree. Maybe he doesn't have any other information. It doesn't respond to email. If I click on that shared matching, what that is those are people in my match list that David matches and that John Doe matches. And so they're forming these little groups here. So Laura and Jason and John and David all share DNA here, which means they share ancestry. And so I can use that power of numbers to try to break through that brick wall with David Smith. How am I related to David Smith? Well, the same way, or at least on the same line as I'm related to Laura, and the same line I'm related to Jason. So if I can figure out how I'm related to those other individuals, that's going to help me figure out how I'm related to David. And so the more I can do that, the more I can assign David to a group. I can say, oh, David must be related to me through Grandpa John's line, based on the fact that Laura is related to me through Grandpa John's line, and so on. So it helps you kind of chip away at these matches. And it's such an incredibly powerful tool.
And I love how they gave you the option to add colors and make groups for them. So then you can, when you're looking at your list, you can quickly see, when someone doesn't have, you haven't analyzed them, you could see, kind of like that you've analyzed them.
Yeah. So, I mean, if I were to add a step 5, it would be to keep good notes, right? And one way to do that is to start clustering these people with those colors, entering things in the notes field, things like that. Because if you don't, what happens is you make a discovery over and over and over again, right? And that's not a very efficient use of your time. So discover it once, keep good notes, and then, that's going to help you chip away at your matches much faster.
So Blaine, Julie wants to know, is there a way to use the DNA from one test on another site?
There are a couple of ways. First, I'll put the caveat. You cannot transfer DNA data to either Ancestry or 23andMe. If you want to be in those databases, you have to test at those companies. But other than that, so for example, you could test at Ancestry and then transfer what's called that raw data into Family Tree DNA and transfer it into MyHeritage. And so you can be in 3 databases with just that test from Ancestry, as an example. Or do the same thing with 23andMe, and you can be in all those 3 databases just using your results from there. So that can be a very cost-effective way to be in multiple databases. I always say your best match is going to be in the last database you test in, right? That's how it works. So you want to be in every database that you possibly can.
So Michelle wants to know, how do you get more information on the ones with no trees and they don't respond to you? Michelle, where's my violin? I'm gonna get a big violin for you. We all know that. What are some tips on that, Blaine?
Well, again, it's shared matching. So shared matching allows you to at least assign them to the line you're related to them on. If their name isn't Googleable, if they don't have a tree, if they don't respond to matching or to emails, the best you can do is assign them to a family line and hope that maybe down the road, something else will happen. I have lots of great matches. I have one that I know is on a brick wall line that I know could help me with something, but because they don't respond, because I can't figure out who they are, I can't build their tree. And so they're just kind of stuck there. I know exactly what line they're related to me on because of shared matching. But until they magically respond to me someday, they're just kind of sitting there. So it's frustrating. And I really don't have any, if there's no tree, if they don't respond, it's going to be really, really tough. And sometimes it's just a waiting game.
So one time I stalked someone on Facebook. Can you do that, Blaine?
Oh, yes. Facebook is a gold mine for DNA matches. Yep.
Oh,
I just call it research, but yeah.
I love that. I love that. You guys have any more questions for Blaine? Fish in all the ponds. Yes, Maria. I was wondering where you were, Maria. It's been a while.
Yeah, because that largest fish will be in the last pond you go to. So
once Karen wants to know, have you used the WATO tool? Is it WATO or WATO?
I call it the WATO tool.
WATO. What is the WATO?
So at DNApainter.com, there is a tool called the What Are the Odds tool, or WATO. And it allows you to build a tree and put in DNA matches and put in hypotheses to see if you can figure out how you might be related to this group of matches. And so I've used the tool many, many times because it's a great hypothesis tester. So yeah, it's one way to potentially figure out who a match is, although I tend to use it to figure out how someone fits within a family structure. So for example, if you have 5 test takers within a family, you have these 5 matches in there, then what you can do is you can insert yourself here and say, do I fit here or do I fit here? And so you'll get some odds based on, oh yeah, this looks good. This one doesn't look so good. And it'll help you kind of narrow down some possibilities.
Definitely. If you guys don't know, Blaine has an amazing, very vibrant Facebook page, Genealogy Tips and Techniques. So definitely check that out. Shauna wants to know, what if you don't know what side your family of DNA connects to because you don't have any shared matches?
So that's also going to happen. One thing I would say is that the more family members you have tested, the more you're going to be able to capitalize on the power of shared matching. So for example, my absolute favorite family member to test for shared matching is actually second cousins. So if you test second cousins on your 4 great grandparent sets of lines, you're going to find that second cousin showing up over and over and over again in these shared match groups and really help you narrow it down and say, oh yeah, this is Grandpa John, this is Grandma Jane, and so on and so forth. So maybe testing more family members might help you figure that out. If nothing good shows up in the shared match list, then you're kind of stuck there. But what will happen is there can be kind of 3 outcomes with shared matching. Number 1, you see instantly a known relative there, which gives you the you have now a hypothesis about how you're related to that line. Number 2, nobody shows up at all, in which case you don't have any sort of hypothesis. And then number 3, a bunch of people show up you don't recognize. So what you do is you go out and look at those people's trees and say, hey, wait a minute. This family shows up again and again and again in this group of people in shared matches, which suggests that that's what the relationship is to you. I have a great group of shared matches, for example, where everybody in the group runs into the Zufelt surname. So I build out the trees. They go to Zufelt, Zufelt, Zufelt. It's gotten to the point now where somebody new shows up in that group and it's almost boring because I build the tree and eventually they run into the Zufelt. The problem is I don't have any Zufelts in my tree, except yet. I think I should. I think it's saying to me, you're a Zufelt descendant as well. You just got to figure out where it fits in.
Are they Ofresians?
You know what? I'm not sure. I haven't researched their roots too much. But yeah.
I can see Michael's beard is saying no. I'm just checking. So we have another question. We got a lot of questions all of a sudden. Do you recommend GenMatch?
GenMatch can be very useful for specific purposes. So for example, Ancestry doesn't provide the segment data, meaning it doesn't provide the data about exactly where on our chromosomes we share DNA with another person. So if you and that other person were to transfer or upload to GenMatch, you'd be able to figure out, oh, those are sort of the GPS coordinates of the DNA that we share on our chromosomes. So that's one potential use.
Do you know of anyone, aware of anyone is from Dean Henry in Philly? Are you aware of anyone who identified their ancestors in slavery through DNA testing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are many, many such examples. I'm trying to think of some blog posts or write-ups. So the National Genealogical Society Quarterly has, I know there is at least one article there about identifying the enslaver using Y DNA, but it's becoming more and more possible with autosomal DNA as well.
Yeah, so Michael said it doesn't sound Ofresians. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at, thank you guys for the questions. Put them in there if you still have any. We still have time. Which, Blaine, you're amazing. Thank you.
No,
did Michael
my
scare
pleasure.
you with the fact that I was going to cut you off? I was kind. I was nice.
You were. Everything they said wasn't true. So.
So let's go ahead and look at the quick start created by Blaine for DNA. So when you want to explore your DNA test results, they just came back. Of course, you're going to take a look at the ethnicity results. See anything that's popping out, standing out. Then step 2, check your match list, take a look and see what's going on. Then step 3, you want to work with your closest matches and just work with those, then go on to the next ones. And then step 4, part of looking at those closest matches is to explore shared matching, which is where the fun really comes in. And Blaine, because he is just so extra, added a step 5, which is did you say take good notes, organize your information?
That's right. Yep.
That's right. So looks like we might have a couple more questions. Nope, that was just Michael telling me about the Ofresian. So let me bring back my guest. That gives us more time to think about. Did you guys see my last minute question? So the holidays are coming, right? We're genealogists. even though, we might not be going to people's homes, it's still an important time where people are finding some way to be together. So as genealogists, what's like a fun or different way that you think or you have tried to either share information or collect information from family during the holidays? So anyone want to go first?
Well, I can start. I mean, for me, it's pretty easy. It's bringing along DNA kits, right? So, I mean, that's collecting data. So I think that's just an easy one. Bring them to the
So
holiday.
you're a
part, right?
collector. You're a
You
collector.
don't get dessert, and I don't get some spit.
That's right. That's right.
Either that or watch your wine glass, because Blaine wants it after you.
You've watched too many cop shows.
Right. Yeah. When I pull out my gallon bag and put glasses in it, you're in trouble. So.
Well, mine is very, very, very much old school. And, this goes back, 25 years probably. I had written a biography of one of my great-great-grandfathers, and it mentioned the illegitimacy of my grandmother, which would have been this guy's grandchild. And I showed this to some relatives at the holidays, this biography, and how this was a big mystery. Who the father of my grandmother was. And previously, of course, this relative had told me, nobody knows anything, blah blah blah. But I had figured out that at least that he belonged to a family that owned a butcher shop. So this elderly relative of mine looks over this biography, and then he comes to that part, and he says, "Well, no, it wasn't the butcher shop. He was a musician." He previously had no knowledge at all, and now all of a sudden he knows that. So that made doing writing the biography all worthwhile.
Yay, Michael!
Mention this illegitimate relative at Christmas celebration. Boy, I'm not sure I would have the gumption to do that, but I don't know if I've ever asked for genealogy information over the holidays, to be really, because we always had very small celebrations. It was my grandmother, my mother, my father, my brother, and that was it. There was nobody else. So it wasn't like this huge extended family thing. So I'd already kind of asked all the questions before that.
So Michael would do nothing. Okay, Michael.
Sometimes that's a good in life. You think about it for a second. It's almost like if you want your kid to tell you stuff, don't ask them questions. Just let them start talking. You find out more when they just start rambling, and you make mental notes of what you want to about later. But at the time, you just let them.
Less is more is quite a concept.
I'm going to take a interview class, and I'm gonna add some wine to it. Then I'm going to give it to the person so then they can talk a lot. And then you record them. But no, I just came up with an idea. Like we always used to do birthday calendars, so that everyone could see everyone's birthday. And think about a birthday calendar with 800 people on it. I think I want to do that digitally. We could get people, because it's so out of date, and I could just get people to go into the Facebook page and put their birthday on the calendar.
Shamele, from a genealogy evidence analysis standpoint, should you make a note of that when you're transcribing that interview that Uncle Herman had 4 glasses of wine or 6 beers or whatever? Because that really gets to how accurate it is.
You got some context.
In your, I don't know how you'd cite that,
Right.
But,
right.
Maybe include the alcohol content there.
Yep.
No, I don't know.
It'll be a little whisper to the side. He just started his 3rd wine. So that, after that point, at 23 minutes, then
Yeah, everything there is a little more suspect. Yeah.
Yep.
So Karen Harrison has a cool one. She says, I generally write a Christmas letter with what travel adventures or family events for the year. Since this has been a COVID stay-at-home year, I was thinking of sharing some old family letters from 1880 and the 1920 era that are really interesting. That is nice. That is nice. Yep. So, guys, that is our show for today. Blaine, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Michael and Jim, thank you so much for wowing us like you always do. Yeah, you guys just, I didn't show you guys my Underground Railroad shirt. This is the one for Pennsylvania. The New Jersey one wasn't my size. And if I turn around, you could see besides my behind, you could probably maybe, nope.
Nope.
Can you see the name?
Yep.
But
Now
they're
we
back,
see.
but yeah, I think.
The Underground Railroad name. So if you guys want to know the names, Google it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on Genealogy Quick Start. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Shamele.